Solve the system of linear equations by substitution. Whenever you work with problems like this, you want one of these variables to be by itself. In this case, it's going to be y. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the substitution into this other equation. The idea is to replace y, in this case this one, by x minus 1. So in that way, you can get an answer for x. So that's what I want to do. Remember, the answer is a point, and we got to get both the x and also the y value. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start by doing the substitution. So I'm going to write this equation, and I'm going to start by doing the substitution. So I'm going to write 2 times x minus 3 times the value of y, all of that equals to -1. The value of y is going to be x minus 1. Okay, now this is the distributive property. Number 3 is multiplied x minus 1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start by multiplying. So I'm going to rewrite 2x, -3 multiplies x, you get negative 3x, and -3 multiplies -1, that's how you get positive 3. Nothing will happen to -1, so I'm going to just rewrite it. The next step, I have to combine like terms. So that is going to give you -1x when you combine them, okay? But -1 is going to be multiplying x. That's how you get only -x plus 3, all of that equals to -1. Next step, I need x to be by itself, so I have to get rid of this 3. To get rid of it, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to be subtracting 3, subtracting 3. Adding positive and -3, this is going to cancel. It's going to be 0. That's how you get -x equals, on the other side, both numbers are negative. So add it up and keep the sign. Now, x has to be by itself, but x is not by itself because it has the negative. So what I have to do is, you always have to change this variable or whatever the answer is. If it's negative, you got to change it into positive. So you can multiply either by -1 or you can divide by -1, it's the same thing. So that's what I'm going to do, multiply by -1, negative times a negative turns into positive. So I'm going to positive x, negative times a negative, you get positive 4. So we get x equals to 4. What I'm going to do now is I need also to replace this value into this equation. In that way, I will know what y is, right? So then what you do is you do the substitution. I'm going to write 4 minus 1, and that would be equal to 3. So out of this, the answer is going to be always the point. The point that we got is x equals 4 and y equals to 3. So if we graph these two equations, that's the point where they will intercept. So that one is easy because y is already by itself. They already solve for y, right? But now we're going to do another one where you have to solve for y. So on this case, I'm looking at this other equation, okay? Can you see that on this one, we started already by having y by itself? Well, this one, we got to do the work, okay? So if that is the case, I'm going to start by solving for y. You get to pick. I like to pick the one that doesn't have a number, like this one. None of those have any number next to it. That means that that number is going to be multiplying y. So if that is the case, then I can pick either one. So I want to rewrite this other equation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for y. So rewriting it, I'm going to rewrite -4x plus y, all of that equals to 6. Then solving for y, I have to get rid of this negative 4x. So by doing the opposite, right? Adding 4x, adding 4x. Okay. So adding positive and negative 4x, this is going to be 0. So it cancels. And that's how we end up with y equals. On the other side, the answer should be 4x plus 6. Okay. Now I have y by itself. I isolated y by doing only one step. Now that I have this equation, I'm gonna do the substitution into the second one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by rewriting 5, negative 5 times x, and this is like negative 1. Remember, this is the answer already. Negative 1 times y is negative y. And then I'm gonna just rewrite the rest of it and do the substitution now. You see how it's negative? The value for y is 4x plus 6. Okay. And what I'm gonna do now is, this is the distributive property. I have to multiply it, and this negative, think of it like negative 1 is multiplying all of this, right? So that means I'm gonna just rewrite negative 5x, then negative 1 times x, you get negative 4x, and negative 1 times positive, then you get negative 6. Rewrite 21. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna combine like terms. To combine like terms, what I'm gonna do is adding these two are negative, so I'm gonna just add the two negatives. That's how you're gonna get negative 9x. Rewrite negative 6, and this is 21. I mean, hold on. I don't know why I put that one, but this means 21. Okay, now rewrite all of that equals to 21. Then the next step, I have to get rid of this 6. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is do the opposite, adding 6, adding 6, adding positive and negative 6. This is gonna cancel, it's gonna be 0. That's how we're gonna write negative 9x. All of that equals, these two are positive, so we can just add them up and keep the sign, right? We get 27. And now the last step, what we have to do is divide by negative 9. Divide by negative 9. Remember, this is multiplication. To get rid of it, you do the opposite, which is dividing. So negative 9 divided by negative 9 is going to be 1. 1 times x, we're going to get x equals, and that would be positive divided by a negative, you're going to get negative 3. Once we have x equals to negative 3, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the substitution into this other equation. In that way, I can get y, the value for y. So now do the substitution. So I'm going to write y equals, that will be 4 times the value of x, that's the one, and then plus 3. The value for x in this case is going to be negative 3. Okay. And now to get the answer, we're just going to go ahead and multiply. Okay, y equals 4 times negative 3, you're going to get negative 12 plus 3. So negative 12 plus 3, they have different sign. Subtract, give the sign of the biggest number, so the answer should be negative 9. So the answer is going to be, x is going to be, the x coordinate is going to be 3. The y coordinate is going to be negative 9. Okay. And this is the point, if we graph these two lines, that's the point where they will intercept. Okay. And the last one, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do this one. That's the last one. And I wanted to see on this case, sometimes it's really easy for you to solve for to pick one of those variables to solve. On this case, we can pick this one or that one and to solve for y. But here the idea is this. Look how if we have to solve for either x or y, you will end up with division. You're gonna be dividing by 3, right? Or sometimes the variable y is gonna be by itself. Here I can divide by 3 would be the easiest way for me to actually end up with y by itself and with no fractions. But now all the time is like this. Anyway, I want to solve for y, and I'm going to use this one. Why? Because at the end, all what I have to do is get rid of this negative 5x, and I will not end up with fractions. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm going to pick this one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rewrite negative 5x plus y, all of that equals to 13. Solving for y, that means I'm going to be adding 5x. Adding 5x. This is going to cancel. That's how you end up with y equals, that should be 5x plus 13. And what I want to do now is I want to do the substitution into this equation, right? So let's go ahead and do the substitution. Now y is by itself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite negative. Oh, let me change the color. So I'm going to rewrite negative 3x plus 3 times y, all of that equals to 3. Okay. The value that I'm going to do the substitution for y will be 5x plus 13. And now we're going to be multiplying to get rid of the distributive property to the, we're going to get rid of the parentheses by using the distributive property. So I'm going to rewrite negative 3x multiply 3 times 5. You're going to get positive 15x. And 3 times 13 should be positive 39. All of that equals to 3. Next step, we're going to combine like terms. So combining like terms on this case, can you see that they have different sign? Subtract, give the sign of the biggest number. The biggest number is positive, so this is going to be positive. Okay, positive 12. Then I'm going to bring down 39, and all of that equals to 3. The next step, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to solve for x. So I have to get rid of this 39. So because it's positive, I'm going to do the opposite, subtracting 39. Subtracting 39. So adding this, we're going to get 0. So it's cancel. It's going to cancel, right? That's how you're going to end up with 12x equals, and now can you see that 3 is positive and 39 is negative? They have different sign. Subtract, that's how we're gonna get negative 36. And we're gonna keep the sign of the biggest number, right? The biggest number is negative, so it's gonna be negative 36. The last step, we are gonna divide by 12. Divide by 12. So that's how the answer should be. X equals, and this is gonna be negative 3. Negative divided by a positive, the answer should be negative. And that's how you get the value for x. To get y, we're just gonna do the substitution. So the substitution into this equation. Now we know x equals -3. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rewrite 5 times the value of x is gonna be 3. Whatever the answer is, it's gonna be plus 13. So on this case, I'm gonna write -3. Then this means that we're gonna be multiplying. 5 times -3, you get -15 plus 13. They have different sign, subtract, keep the sign of the biggest number, so the answer should be -2. So then the point that we're gonna get is gonna be x is gonna be -3 and y is gonna be -2. That's the answer.